Without further delays, without any more doubts, this person knelt down, took a deep breath, and opened their heart before God. They asked for clarity, asked for courage, asked for a sign, because they could no longer hide, ignore, or pretend they didn't feel anything. And now, with all the certainty that comes from faith, they made the decision. The request that follows is not just any request. It is profound, it is true, and it is meant for you. You need to know this. This person spent sleepless nights. They thought and rethought, tried to push the idea away, tried to convince themselves it was just in their head, but they couldn't. The feeling remained, persistent, strong, undeniable. In every detail of the day, in every silence, in every prayer, your name appeared, like a response that could no longer be ignored. It was at this moment that everything changed. Before God, this person decided it was time to stop fighting against what was already clear. It was time to accept what the heart always knew. So, they asked. They asked for you. It wasn't just any request. It wasn't something said carelessly, without depth. It was a heartfelt cry, a true offering. Because this is not a whim, a fleeting desire. It is so much bigger than that. This person asked for a chance. An opportunity to be a part of your life, to walk by your side, to make you happy. They asked God to touch your heart, to give you the discernment to see what He has already made so clear. And if you only knew how sincere this request was, how every word was filled with emotion, you would understand the weight of this moment. This is not about indecision. It is not about uncertainty. It's about faith. About believing that some connections do not happen by chance, that certain paths cross because they were meant to, that some people are sent into our lives not to pass by but to stay. And now the decision is before you. Do you feel it too? Have you noticed the signs? Have you realized how everything points in this direction? Because if you have, then there is no more time to postpone. There is no more room for doubt. Something grand is happening. Something only God could be moving. And now everything depends on you. What are you going to do? So you need to know this. This wasn't just any prayer. It wasn't a wish cast to the wind, hoping that, by chance, something would happen. No. This was a prayer filled with faith, surrender, and hope. A prayer made with a heart pounding, with tear-filled eyes, with the soul stripped of all pride. This person didn't ask for a whim. They didn't ask for a fleeting moment. They asked for a purpose, and the name that left their lips was yours. It was your name that rose as a cry before God. Maybe you have no idea how difficult this decision was, how hard this person tried to escape this feeling, tried to convince themselves that it was just in their head. But God has mysterious ways of speaking, and He never lets the truth go unnoticed for long. So even while trying to ignore it, even while trying to hide it, this person realized it wasn't a coincidence. It was a calling. And you? Do you feel it too? Have you noticed the signs? Those coincidences that seem more than mere coincidences. That presence that somehow warms your heart even from a distance. That voice that echoes in your thoughts at the most unexpected moments. Maybe you have also tried to run away. Maybe you've questioned yourself, doubted, tried to rationalize all of this. But some things are not meant to be understood. They are meant to be lived. And now, what will you do with this truth? You can continue to ignore it. You can keep pretending that none of this has meaning. You can keep thinking it's just another fleeting thought that will disappear with time. Or you can accept that some connections are made to last, that certain meetings are not just meetings, they are divine encounters, that some stories are written with more purpose than we can imagine, that this prayer, this surrender, this request was not made in vain. And if God is moving all of this, if God is showing you something that you have yet to have the courage to fully see, then maybe it's time to stop running away. Maybe it's time to open your heart. Maybe it's time to accept that some answers come even before we ask the questions. And now the choice is before you. Will you ignore it? Or will you finally accept that some things are greater than any resistance? What will you do? Because the truth has already been spoken. Now, all that's left is for you to see it. You can feel it deep in your soul. Something different is happening. Something that is not ordinary, that is not temporary. A feeling that insists, that resists, that refuses to disappear. And do you know why? Because it is not just a feeling, it's a purpose. This connection is not a coincidence. That name that resonates in your heart, that presence that invades you at unexpected moments, that sense that something grand is unfolding, all of it has meaning. But now God is waiting for your response. The prayer has been made, the request has been delivered. The faith has been placed. And what will you do with it? You can pretend you didn't hear. You can ignore the signs. You can continue walking in the opposite direction, thinking that if you don't look back, this truth will disappear. But do you know what happens when something comes from God? He doesn't let you run away forever. Because when God wants to unite two paths, He moves the impossible. He creates circumstances. He speaks through the details. He whispers in the margins of your life until you have no other choice but to see. And now, this truth is before you. Someone had the courage to ask for you. Someone faced their fears, tore down their pride, opened their heart, and placed your name before God. Not out of selfish desire nor on a whim, but because they felt with unwavering faith that you are part of the purpose. And if this person had the courage to ask, will you also have the courage to accept? To accept that some answers come before the questions. To accept that God has already confirmed what your heart has been trying to ignore. To accept that this story is not just any story, that this feeling is not just any feeling, and that this connection is not just any connection. You can continue to resist. You can keep hiding behind doubt, fear, and insecurity. Or you can take a step of faith. You can open your heart. You can allow God to show you what He has already revealed to this person, because now everything depends on you. And the question still lingers, what are you going to do? Because some answers can no longer be postponed. The time for hesitation has passed. The time for doubt is behind you. Now, everything is clear before you. This prayer was made with sincerity. This request was lifted with faith. This cry reached the heavens, and God heard it. And you have felt it too. Even if you don't want to admit it, even if you don't say it out loud, there's something within you that confirms this truth. And do you know why? Because when God writes a story, He plants the answers in your heart even before we take the first steps. And that answer is already within you. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe the weight of the past still haunts you. Maybe uncertainty paralyzes you. But when God moves, He moves with purpose. This person asked for you. They asked not just for a meeting, not just for a moment, but for something real, something strong, something that withstands the test of time, hardships, and trials. And now God is waiting for your decision, because He has already given the signs. He has confirmed in so many ways. He has made you feel, perceive, and understand. But there is something only you can do. Say yes. Say yes to what God has prepared. Say yes to this connection that is not a coincidence. Say yes to what, deep down, you already know is right. And if you don't make this decision now, will you have another chance? Will time wait? Will God keep insisting? Or could this opportunity slip away? You can choose to close your eyes. Pretend you didn't see, didn't feel, didn't realize, but that won't change the truth. This person asked for you, and God heard. Now, He is just waiting for your response. And you? What will you do with this? Because some opportunities don't come back. God has already shown you. He has already moved the pieces. He has surrounded you with signs, confirmations, moments that deep down you know were not coincidences. But now the choice is no longer with Him. It's with you. This person had courage. They faced their own fears, poured out their heart in prayer, and asked with all the faith they had inside them. So what will you do? Will you keep delaying? Will you keep ignoring what is so clear? Will you keep pretending you don't feel the same? Because the truth is that God doesn't force. He shows, confirms, guides. But the final step is yours. And maybe this is the final call. Maybe God is giving you one last chance to see what He has already revealed. Maybe if you wait too long, this story will get lost. Can you bear that? Can you live knowing that you let slip something that was meant to be yours? That you let pass a connection that God created? That you ignored a prayer made with faith, with love, with truth? If this person had the courage to ask, will you have the courage to accept? Because time is passing, the destiny is unfolding, and it all depends on your response. So, look inside yourself, listen to the voice that has been whispering this truth for so long, and finally make the decision, because God has already done his part. Now, it's your turn to say yes, because the time for doubt is over. The truth has already been spoken, the request has already been made, the prayer has already risen to the heavens. And now, what remains is your response. You can pretend that none of this matters. You can keep ignoring the signs, looking away, trying to find excuses for what is already clear. But God didn't bring you this far by chance. He has a plan. He has a purpose. He has already written this story even before you realized it. And now he wants to know if you have the courage to accept, because it's not just a feeling. It's not just a fleeting desire. This is bigger. It's about what was written before time. It's about what God has already confirmed within you. And if you keep resisting, one day you might look back and realize what you lost, that you had a chance to experience something amazing, but chose to run away, that God was showing you the way, but you decided to ignore it. And are you willing to carry that weight? Are you willing to live with that doubt, with that question that will never be answered? Or will you choose to say yes this time? Yes to what God is preparing. Yes to what your heart already knows. Yes to a story that could change everything. Because the opportunity is here right now, and it's waiting for you, but not forever. So the question still echoes, what are you going to do? Because the clock doesn't stop. Every passing second is a chance that may not come back. Every prolonged silence is a step that could take you farther from what God has already placed before you. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that nagging doubt that won't let go, that voice whispering deep in your soul. It's God showing you, calling you, pushing you toward the answer you already know. But how much longer will you hesitate? How much longer will you pretend not to see? This person has already done their part. They had the courage. They faced their own fears, stood before God, and prayed for you. They didn't ask for just anything. They asked for a purpose. They asked to walk by your side, to truly know you, to live something that isn't fleeting, that isn't just another story without a destination. They asked for something real, and God listened. Now he is waiting, because this decision can no longer be postponed. You can keep running away, but the truth will always find you. You might say you need more time, but how long will that be? And more importantly, what if the time runs out? What if this opportunity passes you by? What if this person who today cries out for you in prayer realizes that they've already done everything they could and decides to move on? Are you prepared to carry that regret? To look back and realize that you had everything in your hands but chose to let it go? To ask yourself every day what it would have been like if you had said yes? Because God has already prepared the way. Now, all that's left is for you to choose to walk it. So the choice is in front of you. And for the last time I ask, what are you going to do? Because certain choices define destinies, and this is one of them. You can keep ignoring it, you can keep trying to convince yourself that this is just a passing thought, a feeling that will soon fade away. But will it really? Because the truth is that you've already tried to run away. You've tried to pretend you don't notice, you've tried to move on as if nothing was happening. But God keeps speaking. He continues to surround you with signs. He keeps bringing this truth before you in every possible way. And it's not by coincidence, because when God brings paths together, he doesn't allow doubt to destroy what was meant to last. This person already understands that. They have already gone through the phase of uncertainty. They have battled their own fears. They have cried, they have prayed. They have entrusted everything to God, and now they are simply waiting. Not for just any reason, not for a shallow, surface-level answer, but for a decision. The decision that only you can make. Because time is running out. And while you hesitate, this story may be drifting away. What God has planned might be slipping through your fingers. And one day, perhaps, you will look back and understand. Understand that everything was right there in front of you. That this person saw you in a way that no one else did. That they prayed for you like no one ever has. That they believed in this connection with every bit of strength they had. But that you, out of fear, insecurity, pride, let it pass you by. And when you realize this, it might already be too late, because no one waits forever. Not even those who truly love, not even those who pray with faith. So now, for the last time, what are you going to do? Because some decisions can't wait. You know God has been speaking, you feel it within you. The signs, the confirmations, the voice that keeps reminding you that this connection is not by chance. This person had the courage to ask, to pray, to surrender. But now the answer is in your hands. Time doesn't stop. Life goes on. And the choices you make today define tomorrow. Are you going to ignore it, let it slip away, or will you finally accept what God has prepared? If you feel this message spoke to you, comment, "I receive this truth." Don't forget to like this message so it can reach more people and subscribe to the channel because God has so much more to reveal.